Hi, my name is Harris. I'm one of your podcast hosts. I'm also a lawyer at Treadstone Law. For most Canadians, buying, selling, or refinancing real estate, a lawyer is the last thing on their mind. That's unfortunate because lawyers play a vital role in the process. But what choices do Canadians have? Lawyers can be very expensive. Well, Treadstone Law offers resources to Canadians so they have access to the information they need. Whether you sign up for a live workshop or a mailing list, we cover topics to help you make informed decisions and avoid costly mistakes. It's advice you can start using today, and best of all, it's free. Visit treadstonelaw.ca/MAS offer or click the link below to get access right now. If you're looking to retain Treadstone Law, it's never been easier. Our entire process is online. From completing the retainer agreement to your signing appointment, everything is done from the comfort of your own home. We're your digital lawyers. The best part of it is that you don't pay anything when you're retaining our firm. Visit treadstonelaw.ca/MAS offer or click on the link below to retain us right now. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome to another episode of Hustle and Grit. Today, back on our podcast is Vince Scarselli. He's the owner and principal broker of Meta Mortgage Group, a successful mortgage brokerage in Ontario. Vince is here to talk to us about his journey as an entrepreneur. Welcome to the podcast, Vince.
Thanks, Harris.
I know last time you came, you were on the podcast. We talked a little bit about the mortgage industry and what's going on, and I think it's still pertinent. For those who want to check out that podcast, I'm going to provide a link below. Check it out. We had some really good insights there. If you're looking to get a residential mortgage or any kind of mortgage, or get any insight in the industry, I think it was pretty good. But today, we have a little different angle. I think we're going to be talking more about what it is to be an entrepreneur. What was your journey, and basically what habits and things people can adopt to give them that boost or that advantage in any kind of business they're either starting, thinking about starting, or already have started. And so just to start off, talk us, at least in the beginning, about your journey of starting your business. So, and you have a storied history. You had a undergrad in commerce from the University of Ottawa. It's international business. You started then in the banking sector, worked at a few big banks, and then you started your own mortgage brokerage, which was a decent leap. Some could say it's not that much of a stretch. I would argue it's not about the stretch. It's about the appetite for risk. And it's not just because you're selling something at the bank and now you're doing it on your own. That's the exact same thing. And anyone who, I guess, is starting a business really understands that. So walk us through how you decided to start a business. What was kind of the challenges that you faced? What was your kind of decision making? What was going on through your mind, and what kind of got you to make that leap? Just because a lot of people, even if they want to start a business, they kind of are stuck at the I want to jump into it, but they can't really make the leap because they're waiting for that perfect time, that perfect situation, the perfect financial situation. All their bills are paid, house is paid off, cars paid off, and then they can start their own business. Their kids are out and everything. So walk us through your kind of process through it all.
That's so true. I mean, I guess for me, I just got to a point. There was a tipping point. I think everybody has a tipping point when you go that process of evaluating risk. Like you said, there's also that point of, are you tired of what's actually going on and what you're enduring in the work world? And for me, that's what I had hit. I had hit a point of just where I was tired of the really it's the politics inside corporate Canada, corporate America, same sort of thing. Working for the bank, what happens is just like you're working for any other large company. There's a huge hierarchy, and you come out of university or college or whatever type of school, and you want to just you want to be the CEO tomorrow, right? So that's sort of how I came out of university. I remember in the class, Terrace, I had a prof ask the whole auditorium, "What do you want to make when in your first year when you get out of university?" And I stupidly put my hand up in front of all these people, and then I said $60,000 a year, and literally he laughed at me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I guess I'm high here. So, it's just one of those things where you just jump into it, you jump into, a job and a role, and you start to learn. And that's what I did at the bank, first with the National Bank, and then eventually switched over to, first with Scotiabank, then switched over to National Bank. And then just grew there. And I got to a point where politics got in the way of my growth. And so I had some leadership that basically told me that I needed to slow down, and I had heard from other people within the company that um, they had gone to ask about me for a certain role, and my manager had kiboshed it. So at that point, I knew that there's something going on in the background that I did not like, and I just said to myself, enough's enough. So I got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore, and I said, enough's enough. And so for me, that was my tipping point. I mean, everyone has a tipping point. My tipping point was all of the politics out the door. I hate politics, so for me,
Yeah.
I'm very. And so I said, you know what? Let's look at this as the next option. And from family support perspective, for example, people asking me, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm leaving a branch manager job, and I'm going to open up a mortgage brokerage. You're going to become a broker, and you're going to leave your pension and your
Yeah.
salary,
Yeah.
your bonus and your benefits and
Yeah.
everything. What it was, man. It was tough. It was a tough decision. But for me, my tipping point was essentially I was just tired of all the politics.
Quick 10-second break. Are you finding this podcast useful? Do you want access to more resources just like this podcast? Sign up to one of our online workshops or our mailing list, and we'll send all the information you need right to your inbox. Good advice is hard to come by, especially in a market like today's. Sign up by visiting treadstonelaw.ca/MAS offer or click on the link below. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. But I mean, and I guess I can agree with you or have similar kind of experiences before starting my own law firm, going to law school or anything. I was working, and I did feel like sometimes it's not the best qualified individual that gets promoted. Sometimes if you're doing your job properly, your manager wants to keep you around because you're doing it properly, and he or she doesn't want to train somebody else. And I'm not saying this is across the board, but this is kind of my perspective on things. But as much as that is a pushing force, right, in terms of like saying, okay, well, I got to find another option. When you kind of look out, especially if you're kind of in working at a bank, and again, you've got like a good you got a salary, right? I don't know if arguably it could be good or bad. It's banks pay well, right? But then it also depends on your own lifestyle, and it really is subjective, but it's good. You got relative job security, right? It's not like there's an up and down, and as long as you're kind of performing decently, I would argue that you'd keep your job. And then there's also a quote by I don't know if you've read. I think it was Anti-Fragile. There's an author. It was an American banker, a stock trader. I think his name is Nassim Taleb. He wrote The Black Swan. He wrote The Anti-Fragile, and he said the biggest drug that an employer can give is like your salary every 2 weeks, right? And so you're kind of addicted to it, and so that kind of keeps you there. And people are like, all right, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna have that steady paycheck. I'm gonna have to go out. In the beginning, I don't even know if I'm gonna get paid. I don't. This is something that I know how to. I may know how to do the work, but what about how to get clients in? At a bank, you're getting leads in. Now you have to generate your own leads. At the bank, you're not really worrying about keeping the lights on. Right now, you have to make sure that the lights are on. So, how did you kind of approach that entire risk profile of I'm gonna get rid of whatever I'm making to something that I might not, like I might or I might not, right? And like Elon Musk says, the entrepreneurship or starting a business is like chewing on glass and looking into the abyss, right? So you don't know what's happening. You can have all the projections you want, they're quickly thrown out. So just quickly, how did you kind of then digest that risk?
Uh, you kind of have to detach emotions away from that paycheck, and the fact that you rely on that in order to sustain yourself, and without that you are going to fail. Like it's hard to really explain, but you really have to detach yourself from it. You have to, and that's what I did.
Mm.
I mean, first 9 months there was no money, no paycheck.
Yeah.
But you, at some point, you have to believe in yourself and know that if you're going to do the right thing and do things right. Someone has told me this before. Do the right thing and do things right. That's not
Yeah.
my quote. I'm telling that it's true. If you do the right thing and do things right, things will work out.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm thankful, obviously, for all the foundational knowledge I got from the bank. But ultimately, that gave me the confidence to know that I need to take this gamble. It's a huge gamble. There's no ifs,
Yeah.
ands, or about it. But once you detach the emotional tie to that paycheck and say, I need that paycheck, because it is kind of like,
Yeah.
however you mentioned it, that the crack or whatever it is that
Yeah.
you're, I need it. I need the paycheck. You don't need the paycheck. You 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 have to get away from that feeling, that emotion of I need that every 2 weeks going into my bank account.
So, do you have somebody within your family, friends that was entrepreneurial? Are you the first kind of entrepreneur in your circle and your network? Like, was there some kind of guidance you've received?
You know, my dad worked at General Motors for 38 years and
Mm,
collected check every week, and was a hard worker, but went in
yeah.
every day and was there for 4 years and worked for the pension, right? So that's I grew up with that in the household, um, and my mom worked a salary position as well. So no, I didn't really have that. I would say that what got me thinking a lot were my clients at the bank. Uh, Friday
Mm,
afternoon, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Um, I'm in my office working away. Who pulls in? Usually, you have your CEOs of companies and owners of businesses that come in before the weekend, because they're going away on the cottage or whatever it is, and
yeah.
I'd have the first office on the right when they'd come in, and I'm a relationship guy, so I always wanted to get to know them, and I got to know them, talking to them, and they'd come into my office after they pull in with their fancy car, and they'd come in and be like, they challenge me, what, what's next for you, Vince? What's next for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Ask, you need to trust in yourself. Why don't you believe in yourself? You can do it. You can do it. These are
Yeah.
people um, that spoke to me, and I'm still, they're my clients today.
Oh, wow.
So some of the ones that have influenced me to have the confidence in myself to be able to apply what I was applying at the bank, but do it on your own.
Yeah. So another leap, a train of thought, and I'm really digging through everything today. another another leap is um, when you're starting a business, especially if you're coming from something that's, I would say, at least from the outside, relatively from the inside, to well organized as a big bank, where everything's kind of in its place, everything is done a certain way, their procedures are well laid out, and they have a team working for everything, right? If the procedure needs to be changed, they've got a team doing that. There's got 5 other people overlooking that. There's got like committees, whatever it is, and there's like just a lot of bodies behind everything. And you take that, and now you're the CEO of everything. We got to figure out, you're the guy who figures out the rules. You're the guy who figures out the marketing, figures out the operations, the overhead, the personnel, the corporate culture, everything. So how did you in the beginning decide where you're going to I guess focus your resources, your time, your energy on? Did you start off by hiring people right away? Do you start off by renting an office? Did you start off in your garage? Did you like what was that beginning of your brokerage looking like?
I mean, I didn't hire someone right away. I mean, a ton of, I mean, I don't know start off not making mistakes. You do learn through mistake. I mean, we still learn through mistake.
Yeah.
So the thing that I think we need to program ourselves to, and I wish I knew this earlier on, is you got to try things out. Don't be afraid to try things out. That's what gets in the way is fear. Fear gets in the way of everything. If you turn off that fear voice in the back of your head, and you turn on the you can do it voice and just try it voice,
Yeah.
and from there, man, we'd be so far further ahead. But no, I started off, and I started off actually in a partnership with two other people from the bank. So that's one where I felt like I spread my risk out a little bit, is that I wasn't in it alone.
Yeah.
Now that partnership eventually dissolved after 5 years, but we did start off without any paychecks. So I kind of started off two businesses. One was that brokerage for the first 5 years, and then I spun on my own and had to kind of start again on my own. And so we started off, and we didn't have a lease. We worked within. We had one of my partners had an in at a brokerage, real estate brokerage. So we got in there, and we were able to for free, so we didn't have that overhead, right? So we used some of our relationship connections to be able to do that. So all of us, when you're sometimes in a partnership, the advantage is you get to spread the risk, and everybody has sort of their forte. Then the other part is you kind of all got to get along for long term, so everyone has to be on the same page, and that is the case in partnership, right? So so we were able to do that. And then we were able to, in order for myself to be able to get and focus on getting business in, I just leveraged my existing connections of existing clients and people at the bank. I mean, as of now, you have access to so many other lenders, but you don't have access. You may not have access to clients walking in the door, but you have relationships from the bank. So I kept those relationships from the bank, and if they had declines, they would call me and say, "Hey, Vince, I can't help this client, but can you help this client?" So again, coming back to relationships about, doing right by the client. If your referral source knows you're going to do right by the client, then they'll send you the client. So that's really all I worked on, was trying to get a few really good referral sources. I didn't want to work with everybody, because you start to work with everybody, kind of spin your wheels. So that was the focus, is, by doing marketing and by taking on all this, and just try to stick to the basics and grow one client at a time. Because if you do it right with every client, then every client will become a referral source, essentially. So that's my feeling, and that did work out really, really well. What didn't work out really well, because you probably want to know that too, some of the mistakes I made was, which I think is in my character, is like, you kind of want to get out there and do it right away, but you kind of really have to learn the basics of that industry you're going in, no matter how parallel it is. So I went from banking to brokering, and although we're doing the same thing, that we're issuing mortgages and underwriting, there's still a process that is different. And in the broker world, there's a process for every lender, and there are guidelines for every lender. And so that was the toughest learning curve for me, is, how to go from knowing everything inside and out at National Bank to knowing really nothing now. I didn't know what bank was wanted in terms of clients. I didn't know what TD wanted. I didn't know what B lending was. I didn't know what private lending was. So you had to learn through trial and error, and through relationships. That was a tough go.
It's a huge learning curve, because everything is new, like you're saying. But did your relationship with money change when you started your business? Because I know that often enough when people are working, I feel like money is always considered as some like enjoyment units. Like you gotta spend this money to make yourself happy, right? Whereas when you're in business, money is more, it's currency, it's the electricity that makes your business run. At least that's my perspective, right? It's like when you're looking at, it's kind of almost like poker, right? Not that I'm a big gambler, but it's like when you're looking at different areas where your business can expand, you have to throw a few hands out to see, and you're gonna lose on 9 of them, but that one hand that you get big, right? So that's kind of, and that appetite for, I'm losing money here, it's fine, but I know I don't know where, but somewhere in this is $1 million, and I just got to find out where it is, right? So how did you have that from the beginning? Did you have to build that out? Like, what was your perspective on that?
Yeah, so basically the first 5 years was very tough because it was a partnership, so money was always an issue because you
Yeah.
had to figure out between people how you're going to spend it. But let's fast forward to when I went on my own. I had um, someone working with me that I had tried to hire within the partnership, and they didn't want to spend on that
Mm.
to grow. And so again, philosophically, we're on different pages. So I decided to leave, and I offered to bring her on. I said, "You can come work with me, um, or you can stay at the current brokerage. It's up to you." And she said, "No, I'm going to come work with you." By then, we had an office and everything. So we went from having an office to working on it for a couple of weeks, and then you kind of I kind of realized, oh, geez. I thought to myself, I don't know if she's going to be around for a while, but she's around and she's with me even today. You got to meet her, Kristen. So her and I go way back, and so the relationship with money really changed then because I definitely had to look at things more in depth. Everything was all on me, and that's when you start to look at, okay, when you have money in the bank on a monthly basis and you have your surplus. I hate just leaving it there. You have to put it to work. Otherwise, it's not going to be, it's not going to work for you. So yeah, now you're trying to,
Mm.
figure out ways to expand, whether that means marketing, whether that means hiring someone else, whether that means, making a joint venture with another business or even just buying property. We're, I don't like cash in the bank,
Yeah.
put it that way.
So I guess based on like that, just a quick move to, I guess, leadership. Um, when you have somebody and you're thinking about getting an office, you're working at a coffee shop, which is like, those are stories that you're gonna be looking back for the rest of your life. People are like, oh, it was difficult at that time, but it's still, it's like that journey that is nostalgic. Um, but what do you feel makes an effective leader? Like, what was your perspective in making sure your team showed up and they were performing the best they possibly could? So, what was your mindset around? Um, do you have a crystal ball knowing the future? You don't, but you've got a team here and they're looking at you for answers almost. So, how do you kind of lead in those times?
I just go by the be real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Politics and all as you know, I've said that to you already. So we don't. I try to avoid all politics possible and just be real. Team. We're a team of 9 now, and it's we get together, we enjoy food together, we talk not only work with each other, we spend time whether it's coaching and talk business or we spend time socially together. But it's about to me it's just about being real with people and try not to force things. Forcing things I find can create um, an illusion of fake, really. And
Mm-hmm.
so we don't try and force things. Try to be honest and work through problems that we no doubt encounter every single day. So I don't know. That's sort of what we do. I think being real is really important.
Real and transparent, letting everybody know kind of what's going on and where you're headed.
Yeah. Like I,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell somebody. It's funny in our industry. Everyone's afraid to tell people how much volume they do. I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
like tell people how much volume you do. Who cares if the guy does more volume than you? Then ask him what he's doing, and say, hey, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Maybe we have some things we can learn from each other, right? I think that's everyone's so worried about what everyone else is doing that let's just all be authentic and real and just tell each other like it is and we can all sort of grow. But we're like that in our office too, right? If you have a problem with something or something comes up, then we're going to tackle it as a team rather than tackle it individually.
So safe to say you have an open door policy. You're not kind of closed off in your office. Oh, you got to schedule some time in.
No, and sometimes you have to schedule a call or whatever. But I think everyone knows they know that they can call me anytime, whether it's in the morning or at night or during the day. If there's something going on, they can. And I'm not the one that's always going to solve the problem. That's the beauty of it is I've got great people on the team. So sometimes it's going to be someone else that can solve the problem. And any of the team members that will maybe listen to this podcast, they'll know. Sometimes they'll call me and they have an issue, and sometimes I let them not stew, but wait a little bit, so that maybe it gives them the opportunity to think about it on their own and solve it on their own. What do you do?
Yeah.
I'll text them back and be like, hey, you have some time now? And they're like, oh, I figured it out. I'm good. And then we'll chat later and we'll laugh, right? I said, oh, I kind of waited on that for you because I knew you figured it. So now I'm not doing it behind their back, but I'm doing it. And I tell them I'm doing it because I want them to learn. I think sometimes that's how we all learn. And sometimes I'll call them and bounce an idea off them, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know the answers. I don't know all the answers.
Yeah.
I truly respect everyone on the team. So sometimes you ask a question and be like, hey, how would you handle this? Or what do you think about this? And I just want them to be, they know I'm real with them. I feel like they'll be real with me.
Yeah. I mean, that what you just described there is an art, because I feel like so many times we just want the answer out, right? And for me, it's always been, if a client has an answer or something, and one of my guys is coming to me, or girls is coming to me and saying, hey, what's the answer here? Or what do we do here? My gut instinct is always, I got to give them the answer so that the client is happy. And I'm not saying I don't make clients happy, but it takes away from the growth of your team. And if the client has to wait another 30 minutes, an hour to get an answer, I don't think it's the end of the world, as long as you're building your team as well, because you want all of your clients to be happy in the long run and not just that one particular situation. Not that we're sacrificing that situation, but it's really about your clients as a leader. I find, at least, are your team members just as much as your paying clients.
Absolutely. Like, here's the thing. I can either spend time, growing myself, or I can spend time growing eight individuals on the team. I'll take the 8 individuals on a team, like, all the time. I think that's the best. It's the best bang for our buck. That's the best way to do it. I mean, they want to grow. They're sitting there waiting to grow and to be part of it, and we want to make them part of it, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Change the topic. Let's get into successful habits. What time do you wake up in the morning?
Well, I have 3 kids, okay, so I don't have a choice but to wake up early. I traditionally, and I get up, I would say probably about 7:30, 7 o'clock.
What is the first thing you do when you wake up?
Coffee, man.
Coffee? Straight for coffee?
I kiss my kids and I grab a coffee. Home.
And then when are you, like, in the office by?
So I'm a late office guy. So I like that. I'll have my phone with me, but I'll talk on the phone. But I like to get the kids, done, ready to go for their day with my wife, and then I head to the office. So I'd be like a 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock office guy.
Yeah. So are
you
in the office? So you're okay. So then, how far do you live from the office? What's your commute like? It's like 30 minutes, an hour, huh?
4-minute walk.
4-minute. Oh, wow. So that's not bad. If anything does happen, you could pop in whenever you need to. So when you wake up, from your coffee time to the time you get into the office, when do you typically check your phone first? For emails, for responses?
My wife would probably tell you something very different. She'd be like, "It's up to check it." No, I check it. It's not good. It's a bad habit. I did try and turn off most notifications off the phone, other than the text messages and calls, so that I can check my email when I want to check it, not when the phone tells me to check my email.
Yeah.
So, but I would say during my coffee, I will definitely take a look and see what's going on, and just scan and see if there's anything urgent that's occurred, like since I checked it last in the evening.
And do you have like two phones, one personal, one work, or is everything's in one?
Everything's on one, baby. That's it. Just
Same
keep it
with
simple.
me. Yeah, it's the only way to go. I can't have too many phones, you know. Like
Oh,
it's like you can lose
I
one.
mean, I don't even know how much radiation is this thing giving me. I don't want two of these. I want to do less on the phone. I'd love to do more in person. I mean, that's just, but it's just not the way business is going. That everything's being done more virtually and
Yeah.
electronic.
Yeah. And so then, how do you structure your day when you get into the office? Is it, and by structure, I mean, and I'll give you an example of Jeff Bezos, where he's like, I'm doing all my meetings before lunch, and like after lunch, I'm doing the more, I guess, light work. The heavy lifting's done kind of in the morning. Some people like to do their meetings in the evenings. Like what's your structure? How do you structure? Is it kind of like wherever I get a meeting, I go to the meeting, and you just kind of fit in work wherever you can?
No, I need structure. I mean, Kristen is on my team for structure. When I brought her on and I asked her to be on, I had to be honest with myself and look in the mirror and go, what am I terrible at? I need someone who has more structure. Someone like Tina at home, my
Mm-hmm.
wife, who's structured. I needed that in the office, and that's what she brought to the table for me. And yeah, like I've been bouncing around my schedule in terms of how I wanted to structure it. And most recently, again through trial and error, uh, I've booked all of my team individual one-on-ones and team meetings all in the mornings. I so that I can have the afternoon to be more on the phone with clients, returning phone calls, um, having meetings with clients if I need to, answering emails. So I really want to focus my mornings on my team, and then the afternoon is more of the client stuff. And I try and book new meetings, new things on Fridays. So, for example, a pre-approval meeting, which, as you know, through the last call, is a long one. It's about
Yeah.
an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't do them on Fridays because they do take a lot of energy out of you, and you're starting something new on a Friday, and now all of a sudden I found myself like I was doing like 2 or 3 of those every day, and on a Friday you do 2 or 3 of those. I mean, Saturday I'm still thinking about it. So I shaved it off, and I do that in a 4 day work week, and my Friday is more of the relationship connection day. You
Okay.
know, on the phone, in person, out for coffee. I mean, the coffee shop, my favorite coffee shop is like literally in the backyard of the office. So I walk to the office for
Yeah.
4 minutes, and I go to the coffee shop, which is a local coffee shop, and have a community sort of feel there, and you just it's what feeds me. Love it.
Yeah. Last question. What is the last thing you do before you go to bed?
Last thing I do before I go to bed, man. I do something mindless. Like right now, I'm watching Breaking Bad, and I just sit there for an hour and try to resist to only watch one episode. But yeah, last night was two, and just do something mindless, like literally just relax. So oftentimes I'll do an evening walk, and I'll
Mm.
go for a kind of like decompress, and and the walk we'll have a podcast, or we'll have an ebook, or we'll have just music, whatever. And then and that's after the kids go to bed. And then so it's usually dark outside, and then I'll come home, and then I don't want to jump on the phone and start doing emails like that. And that's kind of different. I'll be honest with you. I used to be a night guy. Like I used to, when we first started, before I hired Kristen on, and then eventually grew the team. I was not a morning guy, and I would actually work till 2 in the morning, which was stupid. It's crazy.
And when would you wake up during those times? If that's like,
Well, in the morning, I had no choice because my kids were up in the morning. So literally,
yeah.
you're running thin, and
Mm.
and that was things where it was the fear of, okay, do I bring someone on and now have to deal with a salary and everything? That's a big responsibility. And or am I at a point where I keep doing this, and it's kind of like that whole doing the same thing over and over again and expecting things to be different.
Yeah.
It's not. You have to change them in order to make the change, and that equals risk. That equals, you know, being uncomfortable. And again, I wish that fear voice was away. I pushed it away a lot earlier, because now as soon as I hear the fear voice, it's almost like I need to be doing that.
Mm.
If the voice is telling me not to do it, I need to. That's the business for self crack right there, right? So
No, see that the thing is I'm so I can so relate to that. Whereas like in the beginning, if you're taking somebody on, it's like it's salaries. You're dealing with somebody's life. You can't really, at least I was like mentally, there was a lot of red flags. Now, you know, if I'm too comfortable, I'm like, what's going on? I got to get up and make myself uncomfortable. If something isn't like, you know, moving, like if there's something's not making me uncomfortable, I'm not in the right place. So
yeah, so you know, like you're right. It's exactly it. And so now it's just been, you know, now the challenge is time management. I think that's the toughest thing right now. Spreading time properly and properly for other businesses and things that I'm getting involved in now. And so that's sort of one of the challenges. But yeah, I've most recently been listening to that. Okay, don't do this. Don't take this on. Don't do it. And I'm like, oh, that means I need to do it. And so yeah, I think more people need to do that.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Well, thanks for coming on our podcast again. That was really informative. Really appreciate all the insights. Thanks for everything.
Anytime, Harry. Nice to talk again.